Welcome back to BookTeaTalk, the book podcast where two sisters read a book together and chat about it each week over a cup of tea. I'm Kayla.
And I'm Maddie. Today we're diving into the final stretch of Throne of Glass, chapter 40 through the end. This is the final episode for this book, so buckle up because a lot happens.
This episode is spoiler heavy since it is the end of Throne of Glass. So if you have not finished the book yet, now is your last warning. But before we jump into the episode, I have to know what tea you are bringing with you to the finale today.
Oh, I have, first of all, this cute little mug for obvious reasons. But I'm drinking the strawberry and vanilla tea by Taylor's. Have you heard of that
Taylor
brand?
Swift?
Taylor's. Have you heard of the Taylor's brand?
I don't think I have.
Well, you're about to learn a lot about it.
Am I?
You are.
Very cute.
What are you drinking today?
I am drinking apple cinnamon in my Grogu mug.
Okay.
I think I got this from Disney.
I love a good Disney Grogu mug. How cute.
Delicious.
Muy bien. By the way, don't forget to make sure you're subscribed to our channel so you don't miss future episodes. And now that we both have our tea ready, let's start at the beginning of the end.
Last episode, we covered chapters 28 through 39, and we, of course, had more murder champions. Our characters are developing stronger relationships. Dorian identified the Eye of Elena. We covered many tests. We experienced a lot of politics at court. Nehemia started to seem a little suspicious. And Dorian kissed Selena.
Crazy. If you have not read Throne of Glass, this is your last spoiler warning. The rest of the episode will include conversations about what has happened through the end of the book. If you do not want spoilers, now is your time to end the podcast. But don't forget to rewatch after you've caught up.
First off, we do need to start with a very important detail that we did leave out last week's episode. Selena now has a puppy.
I didn't realize we left that out.
We did.
That is so sad. So sad. So, Selena's new puppy, Fleetfoot, who was originally deemed unfit for others and almost put down, and instead Dorian gifts him to Selena.
So cute. I love Fleetfoot. It's a nice little
I love that whenever they add those
like comedic relief.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what they're called.
For sure.
Fleetfoot could be symbolic that Selena has something for once that is her own. Like, to me anyways, that's what that kind of seems, it's her first step to like freedom. It's the first thing that she owns in that journey for herself.
And I think she mentioned she's never had an animal before, so.
Did she?
For sure. I think she mentioned that. Maybe
I mean, it would make sense given her backstory, but I don't remember that part.
Oh, maybe I'm making that up then.
Who knows? You might not be.
I don't know.
There is an extremely awkward post-kiss avoidance between Dorian and Selena after the Yolma's kiss. Every time they just avoid talking about it. They avoid any more romantic interactions. It's very awkward. And then Duke Parrington and Lady Caltaine take a walk in the greenhouse where, guess what? He finally tells her who Lady Lelaine, aka Selena, really is. I messed it up. I said Selena. Selena. Whatever. Anyways.
You said Lelaine.
Yeah.
Is it not
her name
Lillian?
is... Oh, well, I mean, I guess it could be either or.
Lelaine?
Actually, I wonder if it's in the back of the book.
No.
I was flipping through the back of my book.
I-A, not A-I. It's Lelaine.
I know. Yes. I misspoke. I'm misspeaking a lot already. I was flipping through the back of my book the other day, and I noticed there is a pronunciation guide. I know. I wish I would have noticed it before. Lady Lelaine's not back here. Mine's in the very back of my book. Like after acknowledgements, I think.
I don't have that.
You don't?
I just have the acknowledgements and then...
So does yours not contain the extra scene?
Yes. Were we supposed to read that?
No, I didn't. I mean, I read it the first time I read this book, but
I didn't even know. I thought this was part of the second book.
No, it's a scene between Kale and Dorian before they go take Selena out of Endovir.
Cool.
Anyways, so
it says read on for an excerpt from the next book of the Throne of Glass series on mine.
Okay, so you don't have the scene then. Well, if you want to read it, I can send it to you.
Okay, sounds good.
Apparently the place that Nehemia is from is pronounced Elway.
Elway?
Elway. It's EELWAY.
Okay.
Elway.
Well, you've gotten
And
everything
the
wrong.
the weird marks that you keep saying, they are pronounced word marks.
Word marks.
Like WORD word marks.
She's scamming right now because
She's
this
scamming?
is literally because this is so fake. Now I'm finding this
Anyways,
out.
so yeah, Duke Parrington and Lady Calton take a walk in the greenhouse where he finally tells her who Lady Lillian truly is, which is AKA our girl Selena. Parrington
Yes.
pressures Caltain to poison Selena during the final duel in order to weaken her for the battle against Kane. He does also imply that the king is giving this direction to poison Selena, and driven by her desire for the crown, she does agree. She's on board. I do want to know from you, do you think Caltain is morally responsible here as she's agreeing to poison Selena?
Oh yeah, so morally responsible. No, she's not. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. She's a psychopath. Like genuinely a
No,
psychopath.
not like she's acting with morals, but do you think she's responsible in the action of poisoning Selena, even though she's being guided to do so? Like, should she be held
Yeah.
responsible for it? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, she's doing it. She's a
Yeah, I agree.
psychopath once again. No, she didn't agree. In my opinion, it was kind of partly her idea.
You think so?
Like she was looking for something to do to kill her off.
This is true. She has been spending time trying to find something.
To get rid of her. Yeah, that's what we've been seeing
Yeah.
through every single chapter. So no, she's a psychopath. We don't like her.
And then I do agree with you as well. Do you think wanting power excuses intentional harm, even if it's not meant to kill?
I think any harm is not good, not moral,
Yes.
not
Agreed.
correct. She just wants to be closer to the crown. She just wants to be closer to Dorian. She's a psychopath. Once again, she's crazy.
And she'll get what's coming for her.
She will get what is, yeah, she will. Foreshadowing. So in chapter 41, Selena goes into full investigator mode, but she's also deeply conflicted by her friendships. Selena doubts that Nehemia is guilty for the murders because they have grown close, and she doesn't believe Nehemia would do anything to harm her. Which is so true. Like, when I was reading it, I didn't think that Nehemia was, like, yes, she was sketchy, but I didn't think she was doing the murders. Flipping through a book of word marks, Selena comes across the word marks that have been marked beside the dead champions. She discovers it's a ritual for a beast called the Ridderak. The Ridderak grants the summoner the strength of those it slays in sacrifice. Word marks are being used to summon the Ridderak. Selena returns to the secret passageway in her room later on after she finds out this information, and she sees Kane chanting before a void of darkness.
I
Oh my
have to
God.
know
My
what
jaw
you
was on
thought
the
about
floor.
that. Yeah.
My jaw was dropped. I was like,
Did you see it coming?
No. I thought that we would find out like the last chapter. I thought we'd find out after the challenge who's doing it.
Like at the very
So,
end?
yeah, I really was not expecting that. Do you think that all of this information that she gained, do you think it's right for Selena to withhold this knowledge from Kale?
I don't think she should withhold it from Kale.
No.
However, I understand her perspective / reasoning for withholding it from Kale. She even mentions in the book she doesn't want to tell him and that she wants to, but she can't because he'll take away the access to the passageway. And if she ever needs to escape the kingdom, like that's her route to do so. So I understand why she's not, but I feel like she should. Like she's trying to tackle the whole world right now by herself.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't like that she was holding everything in. I just don't like that.
Mhm.
If rebellion requires summoning monsters, do you think it's still justified?
I do not think so, only because, especially if you can't control them. Like, I don't ever feel that if you have to justify your actions by injuring innocence, then it's not justified. Does that make sense what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, and I don't even think it's like rebellion. Like they're just trying to gain power at the end of the day. Like
Yes.
that's what it is. So yeah, no. Unless they were good monsters, but they're not good monsters.
No, exactly. I do agree with that. Selena starts putting 2 and 2 together about what has been going on this castle behind closed doors this entire time. Kane has been stealing strength via the word marks by summoning the Ridderak to kill off the competitors. And we see this because every time she sees him, he's getting larger. You know, like we see that strength taking place even if we didn't know what was going on. And we get a description for the Ridderak. The Ridderak has hairless gray skin that is stretched tightly across its misshapen head. It has a gaping mouth filled with black fangs and has a vaguely human body but has longer front arms than it does its back legs, I'm assuming. I was picturing like I don't even know what it's called, but I've seen these things in like videos on TikTok.
Yeah, little gargoyles.
Have you seen them too?
Like My Precious.
No. I mean, I don't know about all that.
I don't know what that's from, but like, My Precious.
The Hobbit?
That's what I was imagining. Yes.
Okay. But like more terrifying?
That's what I was imagining. Is that not right?
Good to know. Anyways, Kane traps Selena in the room with the Ridderak unarmed, and he moves with incredible speed. Like, this man has gained a lot of power from killing off these people. And then she's sitting here, like, stressed out, not knowing what to do. And then she thinks, look to your right, which to her right was the passageway, or a passageway that leads back to Elena's tomb. So she has this realization that she went to the tomb that night on Sam Hewen, just so on this specific instance, she knew where to go to get the sword. So that's what she does. She goes to the tomb of Elena, grabs the sword that's resting in there, and quickly just stabs it in the Ridderak. He's dead. No more. And on her way back to her room, she collapses in the passageway. She wakes up, and Nehemia, I think, was bathing her and using the water to heal Selena because she had taken so much damage from the Ridderak. And as she's healing her, we see she has so many glowing word marks on her arm.
Yeah.
What'd you think about that?
That was crazy. Like, obviously, Miss Girl's over here doing some magical spells that we don't know about.
Oh, for sure.
And magic's supposed to be banned, and Kane's doing magic, Nehemia's doing magic. Like, who else is doing magic? That's what I was thinking in this moment.
They do mention that the word gates, I guess, Selena has this theory that the word gates can be used without magic, and she specifically doesn't want this information to get to the king, which we find out later that he already knows about it anyways. So yeah, it was kind of crazy. Do you think the magic returning means hope or catastrophe?
Oh, catastrophe for sure. If people like Kane are over here doing magical things and summoning beasts, no.
Yeah.
The whole
I think magic can be
go
good
down.
though too. You know?
Yeah, if it's in the right hands.
But also, there's people already doing bad things in the kingdom, aka the king. So if the only way to combat the king from doing his evil doings is to use magic, then I guess it can also be hopeful.
No, at that point, it's like you're fighting magic with magic. Like, if magic never existed, maybe it wouldn't be so bad. But I don't know. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. After an eventful evening fighting off the Ridderak, Selena finally tells the truth to Nehemia. So after she's done getting bathed by Nehemia.
Why do you have to say it like that?
She was
getting healed.
She was getting bathed. I mean, she was put in bathtub. She finally confesses her true identity to Nehemia. So their friendship now as solid as ever. Nehemia draws an invisible mark on Selena's forehead and names her a different name. I didn't like this.
Name?
Why are you renaming? I thought that was weird.
Hang on, though. First of all, let me tell you how it's pronounced. It's pronounced Elantia. But it was significant in that she chose that name because she's like, I see you for all you have went through and your spirit has not been broken, which is what Elantia means. The spirit that could not be broken. She's recognizing, like, you survived Endovir, you've survived all the trauma of your past, and here you are still fighting and not giving up. So I took it as like a significant step.
Look at us. How many freaking names do you need, girl? Okay, this is the third one
all of them
that we've gotten from her. Literally, she needs 3
Wait,
names.
what do you mean third? Because of Lady Lillian?
Yeah, I can't keep up. Like, who are you at this point? Like,
that one's fake. That one doesn't count.
Yeah, but this one's fake too. It's not even a real name. I don't know.
Maybe it is.
Well, I don't like it. So Selena did not tell Nehemia about Kane and the Ridderak, even though they were telling all.
Which made me so mad. Like,
did it?
They're both sitting here having this honest moment.
Heart to heart.
And they're like, there's going to be no more secrets between us. And then the next chapter, she's like, yeah, I didn't tell her everything. Like, what?
Yeah, I really didn't like that either. I was like, at least confess to somebody, but I feel like she feels like she needs to fight
Right.
all of her battles on her own. But like, girl, you need help sometime. What if you're dead in that freaking passageway and nobody knows where you are?
She
I
almost
didn't
did
like that.
die in the passageway.
She very well could have died in that passageway, but luckily she
Yeah.
didn't. Kale gave Selena advice when it comes to her and Dorian's budding relationship. Just remember, use your brain. He hates it. He hates them together. He wants her. We all know this. It's very obvious. He
I
wants
also
her.
feel that
Dorian wants
he
her.
doesn't think I don't think he thinks Dorian is being genuine either, which to me is
I
why he
agree.
would say just remember to use your brain, like not go along with everything that he tells you
I agree.
because he's not being genuine maybe.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I also just think that he wants her to himself.
Oh, for sure.
And I don't think Selena wants either one of them. That's just my opinion. So the King of Adarlan returns the day before the final test. And can we talk about how scared of him she is? I don't like that.
She's very scared of him.
She's terrified of him. And I'm like, girl, you're an assassin. Just kill him. You know?
She can't.
Like, I know. No, I know. Like, she can't kill him. But, like, why are you scared of him? Like, there's really no reason to be scared of him. He's not going to do anything to you. I didn't like that she's scared of him.
He has the
After
ability
the
to,
king's
though,
return, has the ability to what?
to do
Kill her?
something to her, like kill her.
So after the king came back, Kale had many questions, like why did he return alone? How did the rest of the traveling party die? And where did he even go? He was gone for a long time and he just randomly popped out one day.
It was. Yeah, it's been like 2 months since Selena even went into the tomb, so he's been gone for at least 2 months.
Yeah, we're given very, very little information about where he was.
Mhm.
And we still don't even know where he was.
He
I
seems
guess
very
the next
sketchy.
book yeah, I guess the next book we're going to find out possibly. But Kale was just very suspicious of the story and the events that he was told. I have a question for you. Do you think withholding truth is protection or do you think it's betrayal? Like how
That's a tough one.
Selena withheld it from Nehemia. Do you think she's betraying her or do you think she's protecting her?
I kind of feel like maybe a little bit of both in her mind, but I don't like it for the simple fact that it does feel like betrayal because you, again, both said that you weren't going to keep secrets anymore. And
Yeah,
you're already starting it off with keeping secrets. Plus, you've already seen how cool and like powerful she is. Like, why not tell her?
exactly.
I know
Yeah.
that to
And
me
you
just
know
doesn't
that
make
she's on
sense.
your team. She wouldn't have
Yeah.
saved her if she wasn't on her team. Like she should have told her.
What difference does it make having more people know who Selena is this late into the competition? We see Nox confronts Selena about the scars on her hands that she received from fighting the Ridderak, accusing her of knowing something about the animal attacks of the other competitors. Selena tells him that he should flee the castle, you know? Like, if you're smart, you would get out of here. It seems like he doesn't actually go back to a prison if he loses. At least the conversations made it seem that way. So she was like,
No,
if you
it says it
can,
in
you need to
the
leave.
beginning of the book. It said that in the beginning of the book that he's just going home after the competition. Like he's fine.
Okay, so he doesn't have to be there. So yeah, she's like, and that's what she was saying. He's like, you don't have to be here. If you're smart, you would leave. And he slowly puts 2 and 2 together. They're going back and forth a little bit. And he notices that she isn't who she's been saying. And he goes, he puts 2 and 2 together that like she was a slave in Indovir. And he's like, would I have heard of you? And she goes, yes. And he sits there for a second and he's like, you're a girl, which was crazy to me. But he realizes who she is, you know? And Nox,
Yeah.
he leaves the castle that night. He's out of there.
Yeah.
Did you feel sad about
I thought
Nox
that was
leaving?
crazy. I was like, I was sad. I like his character a lot, but I was like, no proof, no nothing. You just believe her? Like, okay, sure.
I mean, if she is in fact Selena Sardothian like she's claiming, what hope does he have to stand against her during the duel? You know what I mean? Why
He's dead
risk your
anyways.
life if you can just go? Exactly.
Agreed.
Wait, he's dead?
Yeah, he's dead anyways if he's in the competition because she's gonna murder him because
Yes.
of who she is.
Yeah. Exactly. Tell me what you thought about Kelton having weird visions when she was looking at Kane. She says it was due to her use of opium or whatever it was called in the book, like a drug. but she swears she sees
Yes.
black shadows swooping past him and hovering above him like wings, which we know later
So-
on is darker stuff. But what were you thinking in this moment?
I didn't think it was the drugs, honestly. I really didn't. I thought maybe she had like just like the senses to like see dark magic or see
Like
magic
an
in
ability?
general. Yeah, that's what I was
Hmm.
thinking. Now we know
Interesting.
what it was, I think, for the most part. We know what it
We
was,
we
but we're going to
do,
get into that later.
which we'll get into in a later part of the episode.
Yeah.
But Selena uses Dorian as a protection that night by inviting him to stay the night with her, which I do want to point out is very interesting. To me, it didn't seem like she was super into him. She literally was like, well, if he stays here, I don't think someone would be so stupid as to send the Ridderak here. You don't remember this?
No, that's not what happened. That's not what happened.
Yes, it is.
No, she thought about having him stay and then she had him leave anyways. That's not
No,
what
he
happened.
stayed till like AM at some point in time. He stayed like late into the night
Yeah,
there, but then he
but-
still left.
But he still left. He still
Not
left.
because she told him to.
I think you're understanding the book incorrectly because she literally said she was like, I could have asked him to stay, but I thought that wasn't right. So no, this is what she said. She said, I would hate for him to be killed by that thing. I would rather it be me than him. So she had him leave.
Hang on.
Oh, you hang on. I got it. What chapter is this? Do we know? I read it today. Look,
Kind of
I got
found it.
After hours of kissing and talking and more kissing on her bed, Dorian had left only minutes before. She'd been tempted to ask him to stay. The smart thing would have been to ask him to stay. But the thought of Dorian being here when Kane or the Ridderak came for her, of Dorian being hurt, made her let him go.
Okay, so you are right in that. I will, like, initially she had the thought to
Yes.
keep him talking, to keep him here as long as he would be willing to stay, so she didn't have to face a night alone with the threat of Kane hovering over her. Who better to keep at her side in the dark hours of the night than the son of the king? Kane wouldn't dare harm him. And
Exactly.
I don't know. It's just like, to me, it just her feelings for him just don't seem super genuine. He seems more like a prop of convenience, if that makes sense.
Yeah. He
Yes
seems
and
way
no.
more into
I get a
her
mixture
than
of
she
both
is
of
him.
them. Exactly.
I feel like with Sarah J. Maas, she likes to do this where you think that they're gonna be together and then it's a whole nother character that they end up with.
Maybe.
So like it's not like a falling in love type thing that we're seeing. It's very quick. And I don't think that they are going to end up together just because of how I know she's written the ACOTAR series.
Just because of the one other series you've read of hers?
No, but it's not that. But she likes to build that relationship before they, like we haven't had very
they're
much
seeming
relationship
more like
building.
insta-lovey.
Exactly. Yeah, and he even says in a later chapter that he loves her. So I don't think this is genuine. Not at all.
Yeah, no, I don't either. Dorian does mention that night that he's confused by Selena because unlike his past lovers that looked at him with adoring eyes, she looks at him like a cat would a mouse. So basically she looks at him like he's prey.
Yeah.
Which is, it's funny, but it's sad.
Yeah, it is sad.
And then Selena also notices more chalk word marks under her bed that night. And what does she do? She washes them off.
Washes it away.
And we
me.
also find out that the final test before the duel has been canceled because Nox departed the castle.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you think fear is a rational reason to flee, like in Nox's situation?
Yeah, if Miss Assassin, the number one assassin, is telling me to leave, I'm out the door. I'm gone. Goodbye.
Not even just because you're afraid for your life, but because she told you that. That's the only reason.
Yeah. No, because she told me who she is, because he's not going to have a chance at winning against her, and he knows that. So.
No. Okay, fair
enough. I do also just think Nox really trusts her. So I think that's the main reason he left.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, we have changed outfits because this is actually part 2. This is the second day of us doing this because we decided that we wanted to talk too much and we didn't.
It
And
was
we
also because
finished.
of the holidays.
Yeah, it was also because of the holidays, but the first part went a little longer than expected, so we're going to continue from here. Now we're going to get into Duel Day. It's finally time for the duel that we've all been waiting for, and this one was very intense. Keltane poisons the wine goblet Selena is to drink from. Were you expecting her to actually go through with this? Because I
Yeah,
wasn't.
I was.
I was not expecting that. I
She
thought she was just
despises
like,
her.
yeah, but it's like I didn't expect her to actually
But
do it.
again, she is desperate for power. And right now she sees Selena as standing in her way of achieving said power.
I don't know, because like a lot of people say that they like her, right? We've seen it. We've seen it in our comments. Everybody hates that we hate on her. And I'm like, how could you like a girl that does this? You know what I mean?
Oh, she's
So
gonna change in some way.
yeah,
I
I'm
feel we
sure she'll
also
change.
I feel
But
like we don't really know much about her background either. Maybe something in her history is causing her to act this way, and that's why, you know, I
possibly,
don't know.
but I don't know. I just feel like how are we going to end up liking her when she does stuff like this? So we'll see. They did the duel, and Kane went against Renault, and then Selena goes against Grave. So that's what happens. They have it separate, them two versus them two, and then at the very end, the winners duel each other. So Kane did defeat Renault in 3 minutes. So when it was Selena's turn to go, Nahima actually gives her the Eloise staff to compete in the duel with a subtle jab towards the king because it's
I
an
thought
Eloise
that
staff.
was great.
I thought that was
She
I thought
was
it was really,
like
really good.
she was like, let them like if you're gonna hurt anyone, let it be with an Elway item.
So I thought that was crazy. I thought that was really, really good.
I
And
liked it though.
I don't know, I was picturing like a wooden just staff with like a metal dagger at
Like
the
a
end.
tip. So like a jousting.
Yeah, and I'm like, I was worried for her because I was like, how is
I
that
don't
gonna do
know.
any damage?
In movies and stuff, I've seen people fight with like staffs and like they can do some really cool tricks and stuff with it, like if they're skilled enough with it. So I wasn't
But
that
I feel
worried.
like we haven't had Selena really training with the staff. So that's why I was like,
Yeah.
oh no, like grab a sword, girl. Grab your 2 daggers. I don't know. Yeah, I was worried about that, but she did great. So Selena puts Grave on his back in 2 minutes. And then she whispers, my name is Selena Sardothian, but it makes no difference what my name is because I'd still beat you no matter what you'd call me. So I thought
And
that
then
worked.
she threw her handkerchief down on him.
Yeah, that was
It was so funny.
crazy. Yeah,
And then
she took her
afterwards,
handkerchief and
Kale
threw it
was
on him.
like, "Did you have to do that?"
Yeah, it was crazy because she was like making just a very big spectacle of
Mhm.
herself in the whole scene. So it
But
just
also good for
showed.
her because she
Yeah,
finally got to show them who she was.
exactly. So at the end of that fight, they have to drink the wine and as like a cheers to being the winners. And then they're
But
fighting
also,
each
can we
other.
point out, Selena thought or was under the assumption that she was gonna have a few minutes to rest before getting into the next fight. But obviously, the king, that's not the king's plans because he doesn't like her.
Exactly. Yeah, I didn't really think she was gonna have much to rest.
Oh, I
I
didn't either.
I knew that she was thinking she would, but I knew, yeah, he doesn't like her and it's obvious why he put her second.
Mhm.
So Selena drinks the wine and almost instantly her vision starts to be affected. It was crazy. Reading that, I was kind of getting a little bit dizzy. Thought it was crazy. So it was Bloodbane that Miss Caltaine put in her drink. So
Mhm.
what a freaking jerk. I thought that
It's
was,
the same poison that she missed during the poison test. It
she
was the
couldn't
one that
tell, yeah.
was mixed with the wine that she couldn't detect.
But like, how did Caltaine know that?
She didn't. She just did what
She was
Duke
told pretty
Parrington gave
much.
her, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, you're right. So the blood vein started weakening her, and Kane starts playing with Selena to drag out the poison effects and be cruel because he knew what was going on the entire time.
Mhm.
This was very, very crazy what was going on, and I might need a little bit of your help with this because
Okay.
she was like going in between dimensions on the
Yes.
blood vein. I was
But
like,
she
eh.
assumed she was hallucinating the whole time.
Yes,
So
because
if we're
that's the
getting
stories she was told.
we're getting these bits and pieces of information that's like describing really animalistic animals and stuff with wings and darkness and the army of the dead. And the whole time she thinks she's hallucinating. But as we come to find out later, we find out a little different of a story. But yeah, she was going in between the two worlds or one of two worlds, and the poison was allowing her to see the other side.
So Kane beats the crap out of her. She's like on her last leg. She's dying. Her blood's going everywhere. Okay. And she can't really do anything because she's dizzy, very disoriented. Like, she can't really. Apparently, there was one point where she could have hit him in his side real good because we learned
Mhm.
previously that that's his weak spot. And she had it wide open and she didn't take the shot. And that's how the other people
She was
around
too weak
her.
to.
Well, she was disoriented. So
Yeah.
I think that was it as well. Like, I don't think she even realized it was open. And that's how Kale understood that she was under.
Dorian as well.
Dorian as well. Yeah, they both knew something was going on. And I think everybody around them knew because after the spectacle she just made, it's completely different. She's just blabbering and
Mhm.
saying just crazy things.
In the midst of her hallucinating and being thrown against stone walls and the whole scene that's going on, which is very intense.
Very
Kane
different.
starts throwing out tidbits of her parents. He's like, "Did you know that when you woke up that that was what was going on?" Like, it's stuff that hints that he knows stuff about her past and her parentage, but come to find out the stuff that he'd been summoning and his strength that he had been gaining from the Ridderak has allowed him to see into her soul or into her thoughts or memories or
Mhm.
something like that, which is kinda crazy.
Yeah, that was really, really crazy. I thought that was wild. I wasn't expecting that
But
at
at
all.
first yeah, at first I thought he really did know something more that he
Yeah.
was, like, gonna tell us, but obviously he didn't, so
So while Selena is kind of under this hallucination, she's kind of stuck in this other world. I don't really know what you want to call it, but she's stuck there. She can't see like the real world, what's going on. But Nehemia realizes something's wrong and she goes over to her and she goes towards the arena and begins casting spells. And we realize she's doing this behind her cloak because she's like whispering and like making little symbols behind her cloak, which I thought that was crazy too. This
yeah,
girl, Fuzzy. I actually really like Nehima. She's one of my favorite. I think she is my
I do
favorite character.
too.
I like her. She's my favorite. So
We
she
also
begins
have to
casting.
point out that in the
Yeah,
middle of her casting, Dorian realized stuff was going on, but sat in his seat like the little coward that he is, and then just was gonna let it continue. He even said, "Oh, I should tell the king to stop it and to recontinue when she's back to her like normal self." And then also Kale walks up to the arena, like I'm assuming he's towing the line
yeah,
of the drawn out arena, and he's like, get up, Selena, get up." I
yeah.
liked him for that.
But Dorian also said that if he ended it, Selena wouldn't have won.
I know he has his reasons, and I know that they're probably valid, but it's also, like, in comparison to Kale, he's really not doing anything.
I agree. I agree.
You know,
Yeah,
like, I know there's reasons behind
he
it.
could have done the same thing that Kale was doing, and if he
Mhm.
realized that the girl he apparently loves is, dying, he should have done something. It just seemed like
But I
he didn't
guess in the
really.
same sense yeah, I was gonna say in the same sense, I guess that's not good for him because then his dad's gonna see how much he really cares for Selena, which is probably not good for either of them on the
Yeah.
same note, so
It's very interesting. Like, I really don't think she's gonna end up with either one of them, so I don't know. It's odd. I don't really like Dorian for her. But so while she's under her little hallucination and she's in the underworld, Elena appears. And I believe Nahima was the one who like summoned. Oh, no. Nahima cried for help to the gods or something like that.
yeah,
We
through,
find
like, a
out.
word gate.
Exactly. And then Elena was the one who came through the word gate and she
Mhm,
intervened to cure Selena of the poison in her. So it basically took out all the
mhm.
blood vein, but didn't save her from the injury. So she's still deeply injured, but she can finally see clearly. Um,
Yeah, she's more coherent.
exactly.
Elena takes the darkness out of Kane, which is what you haven't said that yet. Actually, you said she takes the poison out of Selena,
Yeah.
but she also splits the darkness that is attached essentially to Kane, like the darkness from all the summonings in the Ridderaks. Basically, it makes him just a normal person, like from the first of the book. That way she can actually have a chance of defeating him. Like he's not as strong from all the summonings. He's just Kane.
Mhm. Exactly. Yeah, I think that was that was crazy too. I didn't really realize that was happening. I knew after he
There was a
dies, like,
lot going on in the scene.
I was like, "What?" I knew after he dies, the blood comes out of him, like, it's like dark blood or something. Think I read that somewhere.
I don't remember that part.
Yeah, I thought that was crazy. I really liked that Elena came and saved her. I really wasn't expecting that either, and I wasn't expecting Nahima to do all that stuff, but this was very, very unexpected. That's all I have to
I
say.
wonder if the king actually saw Nehemia doing any of that or not. I mean, we don't find out, but
Yeah, I don't know. I think he probably maybe
he
sensed it.
seems to see more than what we want.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. Who do you think truly saved Selena here? Do you think it was Elena, Nehemia herself? Do you think Dorian saved her life?
Definitely not
Dorian
Dorian.
did nothing.
Honestly, I think it was Nehemia because, I mean, sure, Selena had to have the strength and wherewithal to like finish it out, but she was dying essentially until Nehemia opened up the gate that allowed Elena to come through to save her.
I think it was a combination of Nehemia and Elena because, yes, she did open up the gate, which allowed Elena to come, but without Elena coming, she would
Hmm.
still have the poison in her and she would have still probably died.
Yeah,
So it was, I think, a
that's kind of
combination.
like a chicken before the egg question
True. Very, very true. Yeah.
because it can't really happen without either of them. But which one did happen first? Nehemia opened the portal.
Yeah. True. I hope that Miss Selena studies up on Bloodbane after this and she never makes the same mistake again because what was this crap? Why are you drinking wine from the king? The king hates you. You know this.
Yeah.
Made me so mad. It would have been different if we didn't know that Caltaine poisoned it and we were just surprised that it was poisoned. Like, oh. But because we knew, I was so
Yeah.
angry. I was so angry at her. I'm like, girl.
You say that she
Sure.
should have known because the king hates her, but honestly, she cowers from the king. But I don't think she ever suspects that he would be out to do something like this towards her.
True.
Because that was like the first moment for me where I realized, okay, the king also wants her to die.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like,
Yeah.
I mean, we understand that he's tolerating her and tolerating her presence because Dorian brought her into this competition. But that was the first time you see that he wants her to die. He's
I don't
actively plotting to get her to die.
I think he just genuinely hates her too. Like, not just wants her dead,
Yeah.
like, he genuinely hates her. And we saw that in the scene with Cain because Cain could have killed her so many times, but he was just toying with her and
Mhm.
hurting her. And the king let it go on. So he hates her. And we don't know why, but hopefully
Yeah,
we
but that
find
was
out.
like the first time that we got to see it because the king has been gone like the whole
Yeah.
time,
Yeah, we just don't know.
you know?
I agree.
So winning doesn't mean safety for Selena. It only changes the consequences of everything. So, with a fresh mark burned onto Selena's forehead, because that's right, at the end of this battle, as she finally stands up and is ready to take on Cain, she has a burning, I think, blue mark just in her forehead, which we
Weird
have seen
mark, yes.
before. Okay, maybe not burning blue, but we have seen it before.
Yeah.
So she defeats Cain quite quickly after this. She's like fired up. She's ready to go.
Mm.
She doesn't kill him though, because that's against the rules of engagement for the competition. She just puts him on his back and then as she like finally collapses because she's probably lost a lot of blood at this point, Kale notices Kane pull out a knife from his pocket and he's about to stab her in the back to kill her, which
After she's
coward.
already
Just
won.
saying. Yeah, after she's already won. Again, coward. Cowardice. Oh
Very
wait, and
coward.
the king gave him a nod to do such coward activities. Okay. He obviously wants a coward as his assassin. Calton is arrested for the poison because she pulls it out of her pocket and walks over to Duke and is like, "You said it would work. Why didn't it work?" You know, and he acts all dumbfounded. He's like, "I don't know what you're talking about. Arrest her. She poisoned Selena." So he's not admitting to anything in front of everybody. And then later, Dorian confronts the king about Selena and Nehemia. He basically tries to defend Selena's character, and then he's like, "I don't even know why I'm trying with you, like, you'll never see her as anything different than how you already see her." And then he also speaks on behalf of Nehemia kinda and is like, "You need to tell Duke Parrington to stop scheming. If you hold her hostage, it's only gonna make things work. We need to work with her and not against her," type thing. And the king agrees. He said, "Okay, we'll do that. It's fine." And then we get the full truth of what happened from Nehemia during the battle. Her gifts, she apparently has gifts. They enable her to see what others cannot, being the magic. The Bloodbane made Selena see it too, which is not originally the intended effect of Bloodbane, but she says it reacted to Selena's blood and then says magic calls to magic.
Yup.
And Selena
That
has
was
magic in her blood.
crazy. Obviously, she's got some sort of magic. Got something.
Obviously, don't know to what extent, but it's there.
Yeah. Exactly.
And then she says that she pretended to not understand the language as first as a defense coming to the kingdom, but then to spy because she said it's surprising what people will tell you when they think that you can't comprehend what they're saying, which honestly, smart. I agree. And then she says she does know word marks, what they are, how to use them. Basically, she's a professional word mark user. Her entire family is. And she's very concerned that Kane understands how to use it. Like, that's very alarming to her.
Yep.
And she was drawing the ones under Selena's bed the whole time, but it's not like a sign of attacking, it's a sign of protection. What did
I
you think
thought that
about
was
that part?
crazy. I was like, girl, what? And I kind of like, I suspected that it was a good thing because the
Mhm.
whole time when she was like marking them, I'm like, what if Elena is putting them there or something? But I didn't expect it to be Nehemia. I really didn't. But I thought it was like
No.
a I also thought it was like a protection thing. Like I assumed it was that because they
Mhm.
kept showing up and nothing bad was happening to her. That's how I knew it was kind of like protection.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was not expecting Nehemia to be going into her room and writing all of those.
Can you
That's so
imagine how
funny.
many times she was going in there and constantly putting them under the bed? Because Selena was brushing them off like it was nobody's business.
Yeah, she's like, get these
That
away
must have
from
been a
me.
tiring chore.
Yeah, for sure. I thought that was really
Between that and constantly going after the beasts
Mhm.
that Kane was summoning, girl was busy.
She was busy. But in training, she was busy.
And then she does admit that she doesn't know what the word mark on Selena's brow is. And then she asks her if she knows what it is. And Selena's like, no, I don't. Nehemia does say that she has seen it on Selena's brow before, which we kind of already know. And she thinks that it's a part of Selena, which I have already told you that's my theory.
Okay.
Kind of. I say that her parents drew it on her as a kid, and it's kind of, just there at all times.
I don't get that because,
And
like,
then we
does
also
it does
what?
it only appear in, like, certain situations? Is that what it is? Or can only certain people see it? Because if that's the case, like, why was the king able to see it on her forehead?
I don't think that only certain people can see it. I mean, we don't know the answer to this question. I feel like it's more under certain situations, and I kind of will put a pin in this and come back to it at the end of the episode because it kind of coincides with something said in the later
Mhm.
backside of the chapters. But yeah, I will come back to that.
Okay. Interesting.
And so, also in this section, we see an interesting moment between Duke Parrington and the king, where we basically find out what these black rings are. And also, the king has one. And come to find out, they're a type of experimentation. I'm assuming they have magic in them. I don't fully remember the description, but they have like some sort of magic in them
Dark
that
matter.
allow the wearer to coerce other people into submission, controlling their actions, something along those lines. And he says that he has several people that he would like to try it out on. And my thoughts on that is he trying to try it on Dorian? He's probably going to try it out on Selena at some point in time.
Yep.
But Kel and Dorian are the only ones that come to mind. Maybe Nehemia too.
I think that's crazy. I thought that was really, really crazy. So obviously, the
Mhm.
king is like in on it with Parrington. Do you
Mhm.
do you think like the king knew what was going on with Kane, him murdering all the players and stuff? Like, is that what is kind of told or no?
I kind of think so.
Yeah, I agree. I think he
I
knows.
kinda think he knew. I mean, how Like, who taught Cain how to use word marks? The king goes on to say that he understands word marks. He doesn't know the one about the one on Selena's brow, but he understands them, he knows about them, etcetera, etcetera. So, obviously, it seems like he's the one teaching Cain how to use them. I still
Yeah.
wanna know where he's been the past 2 months, but I don't know.
My theory is that he's banning magic for everybody so he can be the only one to use the dark magic on other people. And he
Oh, for
can,
sure. To control the people.
yeah, and he can become the all true king of all the lands. That's just my opinion.
Mhm.
But I think that's
That's
so
typical
crazy.
fantasy writing for you, though.
I think it's so crazy. So, so crazy. I wasn't expecting that at all.
Yeah.
Do you think the
Makes for
king
interesting plot, though.
do you think the king knew that Caltaine poisoned the drink before it was given to Selena? Like, do you think he was in on it?
I
Okay.
think he did tell Duke Parrington to maybe poison Selena, but I don't think he necessarily gave him the direction to have Caltaine do it, because at the
Mm.
end, when he's talking with Duke Parrington about the black rings, he was like, "Nice work on, manipulating Caltaine into doing your bidding," basically. So I think he gave the directive, but not necessarily the specifics of it.
Yeah, I agree. It could be like a new thing for him to have the ring or something because I don't know, it
Mhm.
seems like he's like saying like good job on controlling this person. Like maybe Caltaine was just a trial run for them to do it on someone
No,
else.
it's exactly what it is. They're
So, yeah.
experimenting.
So like maybe the king hasn't done it just yet, but he saw how well it worked
Mhm.
on Caltaine and maybe he will for the other people. And she also
Yeah,
mentioned how sick
I
she was
agree.
too, how sick it made her. So now we will get to see other people if they start feeling sick in the same way. We'll get the heads up that they might be
True.
getting controlled. Yeah, I think that's crazy. Very
That's
cool though.
true.
So the end of the book, it doesn't end with Selena's freedom. It ends with a deadly contract for the next 4
Tying her to the
years.
king.
Yep, she's binded. So apparently it takes a couple days for the king to write up a contract. I think Dorian
No,
was
I think
pushing
he
for
was
that.
just being lazy.
Yeah, I think he's trying to prolong the process of her not
Mhm.
having her freedom. That could be what it was. But or maybe he just wasn't happy with her being the champion and he
Oh,
was
I
just
don't think
like,
he was. I think it literally came from a place of just pride and, like, not liking the situation, so trying to find ways to avoid it.
yeah, agreed. So Selena eventually becomes the king's champion after she signs the contract. The rules of the contract are do as she's ordered, no questions. If she's caught, she will deny involvement with the king. Doesn't surprise me. Does not surprise me at all. Threats against Kale and Nehemia if she fails or tries to flee. I thought that one was crazy.
Yeah, he's basically like, "If you don't return from your mission,
Yeah,
or if you fail, I'm gonna kill."
yeah,
And then, if you still don't return or if you flee, I'm gonna kill Nehemia. And then her family. What? Also, can we say what it says that you are threatening to kill the captain of your guard
yeah.
over some girl?
And that's
What?
it makes sense now why Dorian wasn't so protective over her because he is just using the people that he knows against her.
Mhm.
He's a terrible person. Horrible person.
Do
And
you
honestly,
think the king would
what
have threatened her with Dorian if he knew how much they were involved with each other?
I don't think the king would have threatened her with Dorian. I think the king will threaten Dorian with her.
What do
I
you
think
mean?
because it's not like he's gonna kill his son. You know, he's not I don't think he
Oh, like, I need you to go along with this plan or I'm gonna kill Selena.
Yes. Yes. I think
I
that
could see that.
if he finds out that they're all buddy buddy, which I think he kind of has his suspicions about,
Yeah,
I think he's gonna do it the opposite using Selena
interesting.
against Dorian. Yeah. I don't know. Because he can't kill his own
I could
son.
see that.
Not for Selena. Not for a little plain girl like her. So Selena then breaks up with Dorian. She ends their mini tiny baby nothing of a
Their
relationship.
little mini fling.
Yeah. And she says that it is because she doesn't want any more secrets and it's not practical now that she's the king's champion, which makes total sense.
Which makes sense. I wonder if she's also thinking along the lines of what you just said. She probably
Maybe.
doesn't want extra people that can be used against her, so it's best just to cut ties with them,
Agreed. Yeah, after
like,
she
now.
heard all of the people that he's gonna kill if she doesn't go along with
Yeah.
it, I think
She
she
doesn't say
now
that, but it's a good point.
yeah, I think she's holding people at arm's distance now. Like, she's not wanting to keep people close because she knows that the king might murder them. Elena then gives Selena a cryptic message about being awoken from her long sleep by the cries of many people. With a touch of her forehead and the weird mark facing in and out, she tells Selena that when she's ready, when she starts hearing them cry out as well, then she'll know why she came to her and why she has stood by her and will continue to watch over her no matter how many times she shoves her away. That was
What'd
good.
you think about that? Theories,
I
go.
thought it was, I don't know. Like, obviously, the people are crying out, like the people of all the towns that are being, tortured and murdered by the king. I think that's kind of the situation. But obviously, Selena has some sort of magical powers. Obviously, she does.
Mhm.
And why Elena chose her, I don't know. I really don't know. And the
I
fact
still Go ahead.
and the fact that she was also commenting about shoving her away, like she's fine, like she keeps shoving her away. I thought that was like, you're a god. What do you mean?
I don't think she's a god, she's a
Is she
spirit.
not? I thought she was a god.
No, she's just a spirit.
No, she was a princess.
Yes.
That's what she was. She
She's
was
a
a
spirit queen. She was a queen. Now she
queen.
died, and now she's a spirit. Like, something to do with the two worlds.
Obviously, she's got a lot of magic in her, but that's why I was like, okay, you're just shoving her away and you're just gonna keep coming back. Okay, interesting. I thought that was odd.
I kind of think, obviously, it keeps hinting at there's something in Selena's past that she's avoiding or trying to pretend like didn't happen, I'm assuming. And maybe when she realizes and accepts her past and stuff, like, that's when the full truth will come out and hit her and hit us.
Yeah.
That's what that sounds like to me.
I
Something to do
mean,
with responsibility.
we had to learn about her parents from Kane. Like, she's not telling us, so I feel like
No,
certain things are.
we did hear, I thought, about what happened with her parents.
I don't think so.
Didn't she have a moment with, like, Kale or something where she said that she woke up in the like, she had crawled into bed one morning
Oh, yeah, that was
and the bed
gross.
was wet and she didn't know what it was at first, but she's like, "Whatever, it's probably fine." She went to sleep with
You're
them
right.
and woke up the next morning, like, with blood everywhere, like, because
Yeah,
they had been killed or something.
yeah, and she's
So,
been
we
there
did
blood.
already hear parts of that.
Yeah, we did. You're right. You're right. But did we get any more information from Kane, or was it
No.
okay? That was
I
just
think that was it. He said of, like, something else cryptic during the duel, but it wasn't anything that gave
important.
anything else away.
Do you think love is possible for her and Dorian? Do you think it's possible for them to continue their relationship, but maybe in secret and hiding? What do you think?
No, because it's not really love. I feel like if you're having to hide from everybody,
I
you know?
disagree. I disagree. I don't think it's not love, but I just think there's particular situation is not the best because
It's not going to lead to anything positive by any means.
she's already gonna have to keep a ton of secrets for the king.
Mhm.
She doesn't need another secret to add to it. She's just gonna be overwhelmed with everything.
I wonder what happens if, because her contract's for 4 years.
Yeah.
What happens if the king dies during that and Dorian takes over? Like, does she now still have to serve Dorian for the remainder of the contract, or is the contract only to the king?
I think it's the king's champion for 4 years regardless who the king is. She's
Interesting.
tied to the king of Adariel. What is the word? I don't know.
A darlin'.
A
I wonder if
darling.
that's gonna be what happens. I wonder if the king dies and Dorian takes over, and then we have, like, an enemies to lovers.
No, I don't want them together. I don't know if I want them together. I don't think I want
I
them
don't want them
together.
together.
I don't think they
I
go
think
well.
it's complex. I don't either.
I think it was too easy for them to get together.
I think she's more suited for Kale.
I think Kale
I feel like
understands
I like
more.
Dorian, but I like Dorian, but I feel like he's a little immature in his thought process. Like he doesn't have the experiences that they both have.
He gives
Not that
golden
Kale's
retriever.
particular, but in like a bad way.
No, like it's I like a good golden retriever, right? But in this particular book, in this situation that they're in, like she needs somebody who's gonna be matching her. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Which I
and
think
that's not Dorian, at least
no.
right now.
I think Kale does have the potential. Maybe they go on little missions together in the future. We'll see.
Maybe.
What do you predict
I mean,
the next couple
I
books?
was gonna say they did end the book by saying like Kale was going up Dorian's like, so you ready to hear about your first mission? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, so
Just kind of cute.
obviously he knows the missions and stuff. Maybe he's gonna be
Yeah,
going with her and doing
involved.
yeah. We'll see. What do you think the next couple books are going to be about? Do you have any theories, any assumptions?
Have no clue, honestly.
I know we know Assassin's Blade is gonna be with her and her ex-lover. We're gonna learn about Sam, I think.
Sam, yeah.
So I think it
I
goes
don't know.
in
I think the books in
past.
between are just gonna be, her duties for the king, and obviously like the trouble that brings, and then maybe her trying to undermine his power and authority in some way.
I think this series I mean, so far we've read the first book, right? And obviously everybody hates the first book of Akatar. But I can't really see why people are saying this is their favorite series right now.
I actually didn't hate the first book of Akatar.
I did. I couldn't
I
stand it.
loved it from like page 5.
I barely got through it. I was struggling until I got to the end and I was like, wait, what? But I don't know. Hopefully this series gets better, which I believe it will if everybody loves the series and this is their favorite
I
series
mean,
ever.
everybody loves the
They
series.
do. They do. And I think it's going
They
to be
say that
kind of
it's
like,
the better of the series.
yeah, I think it's going to be kind of like an Akatar situation where you don't really like the first book, but it slowly like makes you fall in love with it more.
I also think that like just as the books go on, like more action, more drama, like that is what I feel makes a book really good too. Like we didn't get that much in this book if you really think
Yeah.
about it.
We really didn't
We
get
got
very
like little
many.
tidbits of
Yeah.
information.
We didn't get
The
a lot
plot
of
just moved
shocking.
kind of quickly.
Yeah, we didn't get a lot of
Yeah.
shocking moments, in my opinion. It was
Yeah.
just kind of like slid in there, and you were like, oh, okay. But it wasn't like an
You also
in.
didn't really get to see all the characters that much in my opinion either. Like everything was very surface level, kinda.
I
Like
agree
you're
with that.
just dipping in.
I agree with that. I feel like we don't even know Dorian. I feel like we don't know Kale. I feel like we barely know Selena. She doesn't tell us anything. So
Yeah.
the only character we know
So I
is
guess the
Fleet.
rest of the books. Yeah. What? Because it's a dog?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty easy to know. I mean, unless the dog has magical powers, I don't know. I feel like most of
And
the characters we don't really know very well.
yeah, no, I do agree with that. But this was a very intense book, and we've kind of already went over our overall thoughts of everything. So tell me what you are rating it and why.
Me first, okay.
Yeah, you first.
Rate it like a 7 or a 7.5 out of 10.
Girly, it's a 5-star rating. You clearly do not rate your books.
Wait, I don't know because I feel bad if I do 3 stars, but I don't think it's good enough for 4.
It's fine. Rate it what you want to rate it. You don't gotta defend it.
It's like a 3.5 maybe. Like an okay score.
Okay.
It wasn't terrible. Like I definitely got through it and I loved it towards the end. It became really good, but I feel like again, everything was pretty surface level and it was so just okay so far. What is your thoughts and opinions on this book and what would you rate it?
Okay, so I did already kind of give my thoughts and opinions, I feel. But if I had to rate it, I think the first time I read this book 2 years ago, I think I gave it either a 4 or a 5 because I was having like a really good time reading it. I might have. I don't remember. That was before I started my tracking, so I don't remember. I don't have it with me anymore. But I do remember having a good time, and I think I would have rated it at least a 4, maybe a 5, because I'm kind of generous with my rates.
Good job.
However, this time I did rate it a 3 not a 3.5, just a 3. And it was mainly just because, yeah, I think that we could have gotten more, and I feel like everything was just kinda like it was good, but it was intro good, you know? Which isn't bad, but I can't wait to see what the rest of the series holds, to be honest.
Yeah, agreed. I feel like this book was mostly like what she was doing throughout her day, and that was pretty much it.
It was.
It was a lot of like day-to-day
But then it wasn't
stuff.
even going into, like, detail, it was just, like, briefly glassing over it.
I don't know. It was mostly just her thoughts about what's going on right now. That's pretty much what the whole book
And
is.
murder victims showing up because honestly, like, not even that many tests were described, not many people got eliminated and stuff. Well, I mean, I guess, like, 6 or 7 people got eliminated just because they died from, like,
But
the
nobody
beasts.
that we knew, like, that we were attached
Yeah.
to got eliminated, so, like, we didn't really care, and the thing with Nox when he left, like, I was expecting him to die and it be a whole, like, sad moment, but we didn't get that. I mean, he's probably gonna come
Mhm.
back up in the later chapters, but yeah, I just felt like it was
Yeah, I would
very,
imagine.
very surface level. That's what I
Could have
would
been
describe.
more, but it was
Could've
still good. Could have
could've
been
been
more, but was still good.
yeah, like, obviously her
So,
writing
with
was
our
great, so yeah, that's what made it good. Okay,
yeah,
keep going.
I do agree. With Throne of Glass finally wrapped up for us here at Book Tea Talk, we are going to shift gears next week. We are going to take one episode to recap both of our 2025 reading years. We might ask each other some questions, go over our best reads, go over our worst reads, things that we may want to do in 2026 or don't want to do in 2026 going forward, and just have a little bit of fun. So we hope you guys join us for that.
Yes, and this past year, we have been reading separately. So, these past 2 months have been the only 2 months that we've
Mhm.
read stuff together, so we have very different reads for this year. So, I think that's gonna be very interesting to look at.
It'd be fun. I think I have more books to go over than you do, though.
I'm sure you do, but we have varying books. Like, we don't have the same books. So, I
Yeah.
think that's kinda cool. Thanks for hanging out with us here on Book Tea Talk today. Make sure you're following us at Book Tea Talk across all platforms for updates, bonus clips, and more. And we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye, guys.